The current Bitcoin price today is $23,476. And on today's show, I'm going to show you exactly where this run could take us and how much more upside there potentially is for the bulls on this relief rally that we're currently experiencing. But first and foremost, I thought let's start off on the high time frame chart, which is the monthly one, which I haven't shown in quite some time for Bitcoin. And the reason being is because there is one slight difference that has, or one change that's occurred, and that is on the RSI on the monthly. So if you have a look over here at the dashed yellow line, you'll notice that never before has the RSI come as low as what it has over here. And I mentioned to you guys previously that, look, be patient, just because at the end of the day, a declining RSI, just because it reached levels that it hasn't before, does not mean that price has bottomed and that essentially pretty much it's going to bounce from there, because that RSI could still go much lower. It can pretty much go all the way down outside of this purple zone and into pretty much the low teens. But as you can see with this current relief rally that we have right now, there has been a slight uptick in the RSI. Now, the important thing to note is for the longer term investors that you would want to see what the monthly close looks like, because if the monthly close is up like this, then maybe the bottom really is in. I personally still have my reservations about that, but I'm very willing to switch my bias, and this is why I look at what the trend is doing, and I never ever miss the moves. I might miss a small percentage of a move and not pick the exact bottom, but at the end of the day, I don't get wrecked. And that's the most important part. I think for most of you would agree that keeping your money or holding onto your money is more important than trying to catch the bottom and getting 80-90% drawdown. So with that being said, we can see that Bitcoin has, on the monthly time frame at least, it has bounced off of course, that critical area. It's regaining the important moving averages now. For the monthly chart, I have a couple of different MAs on here. I have the 7, the 20, and the 50. So the 7 would be the white, the 20 is the yellow, and the 50 is the purple. Now, this is very, very important that we reclaim this purple 50, which, as you can see, is currently taking place. And look, any rally up into these moving averages could act as some sort of resistance. Bear in mind, there has been a cross that's taken place, and you can imagine that this moving average is obviously declining, right? So eventually price will come into that and act as resistance. You got your monthly level over here, which is coming in. Let's mark it off. Very, very important. You can mark off the previous month's open, which came right at this level. It was also the month before that's close, and that important price target is coming in at $31,700. And I've shown this many times before, the confluence with that level. So pay attention once price gets to that. Write it down on your calendar. Say that, okay, if price starts to reach the $28,000 to $30,000 level, as the title of the show suggests, then that's pretty much the area where you need to become super cautious. So looking at the logarithmic growth curve over here on the 2-week time frame chart over here, we haven't brought this one up for quite some time, but you can notice that most of the time, anytime that price is hanging around on those lower bands, it's been a great time to accumulate. We lost the band, and now we're attempting to shoot back into that zone over there. So what I would say to this is that as soon as price starts to reclaim this level over here, which is around that $28,000 level, that is where a lot of FOMO will kick in. And you never know, although there is a lot of resistance over here, that FOMO might have the possibility of pushing price through that level. However, I'm sure you can all agree with me, if you just take a horizontal line here, once again, you're going to see that confluence. Look at all this cluster of resistance that's going to form within this area over here around, again, that $28,000 to $33,000 level. But as I've mentioned to you guys previously, that doesn't mean that you completely stay out the market, because should you do that, you'd be looking at missing enormous moves on Bitcoin. You're looking at between 40 and 70% moves from bottom to next major resistance on the high time frames. And on altcoins, as you know, many of them have already run quite a lot. But there's good news for you. I'm going to show you the ones that still have a little bit of leg room to go later on in the show. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. Also, do me a favor, have a look in the description below and give this video a like. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, weekly time frame over here. We said that this purple 200 MA, very, very important. We're still focusing on that. Yesterday, the price had come all the way down and was looking really, really bad for the bulls. Seems like they're fighting back and reclaiming this level. And this is very, very important. I want to see what the week does. If the week manages to close above this level, I would say with a high probability that we could start to target up next week towards that $26,000 level. But remember, next week there is a lot of important and news-driven events that are coming up, and that might cause some sort of a rejection or pullback. And I personally believe that August could be a good month for crypto, because August doesn't have too many news-driven events, and therefore crypto might have a chance to rally since it's not being influenced by too many external factors, at least planned factors. Of course, there are things that could come up spontaneously, but we'll wait to see how this plays out. But so far, the swing longs that we've taken, we've been buying all the high lows. Those have been working out fantastically, and I'm going to show you exactly where you need to start focusing on possibly taking profit and tightening stop losses. So with that being said, make sure that you sign up as well in the description below. You'll see a link to the daily candle. If you click on that link, it's going to take you to Sheldon's Twitter page, and then you can subscribe to that over there. Every single day, or Monday to Friday, at least I should say, we drop some alpha with regards to charts. And one that I want to point out, which I said yesterday, is the NASDAQ over here. If you read in the daily newsletter, I mentioned that, look, this is coming up towards a very, very critical level. The current position that it's in, it might start to reject. So I put it on a line chart here. It is with the bar chart over here, and you can see the dash line over here, right? So I'm sure you can all agree with me. The trend is your friend until the end. And at the moment, we have a clear downtrend marked like this. Let's quickly grab this highlighter. So of course, you have the highs, came down, started to make new lows relative to this area. So there's your first new low, another lower high, another lower low. Here's a lower high. So this is currently where price is at, right? We need to clear above that. If the NASDAQ manages to clear above this, first we need to also wait to see how weekly close happens, because you could possibly get a wick above there and then very quickly pull down. The closing candles are what matter most. And in order to see the closing candles, all you need to do is put it on a line chart like that. So if you have a look at it on a line chart, this is the level to clear, right? If you start to close on this dash line, you're going to close above the previous week's lower high over there. However, with the trend being your friend, we're coming straight into resistance. And should it continue, the trend continue, I would imagine that things could start to turn. That may only happen next week. And then look, you're looking to target new lows. And that was my ultimate target on the NASDAQ and all the stock markets, is pretty much the pre-COVID levels. We'd be coming into a key quarterly. And pretty much from this level, to give you some perspective on the stock market, you'd be looking at another 20% down from there. And I said, look, I think things could bounce quite hard from that level. It would make sense as well with the RSI over here. If the RSI had to come down just a little bit more into that zone over there, reject from there, and then the yellow moving average can start to tilt up. So we're at a critical point within the markets. We need to be very, very careful with our trades. Looking at the DXY over here, just quickly switch back to the candles. Okay, there you go. DXY, not much has changed, kind of same place that we looked at yesterday. I'm actually more interested at the moment in the RSI, which is still trending up. The yellow one is that moving average, which is still trending up completely. I would expect some sort of a bounce off of this trend line. And if you look at it from a timing perspective as well, you can just imagine if that tracks down, look, it would be coming into basically sometime in August where that would bounce. And that means that as long as the DXY pauses or continues to slowly trend down, at least for over the course of the next month, that could be an opportunity for the relief rally to continue and for us to capitalize on that, make some profits. It's always easier to trade in a bull market, at least with spot, reduce your risk, trade spot, and just go long. And then with that being said, as well, those of you who are trapped in coins that almost went to zero, you now have the chance to rebalance your portfolios. I really recommend and encourage you to switch out the things that don't make sense. You need to really sit down and ask yourself hard questions. Are these tokens that you're holding really going to make it for the next 5 years? And if the answer is no, and you're overexposed and you have a chance now on these relief rallies to start shifting and rebalancing things, you should seriously consider that. So moving on. I also wanted to have a look at this chart, which is the Heikin-Ashi candles on the CME, and we are seeing some positive signs. Now, the reason why I brought up the CME ones, which is the futures trading chart, is because, of course, this one closes in 10 hours time. So take a look at this. All you need to do is put on BTC 1 with the exclamation mark, and you'll get the CME chart over here. If this closes green, there's a possibility that we could get a more extended relief rally, and these things can go much further than people anticipate. I found that with Bitcoin, you know that the sell-offs always go further than people thought, as well as with the runs that we have. The relief rallies always go further, trapping the vast majority of participants. There's a saying that goes that the market is designed to take away the most amount of money from most of the people most of the time. So you got to ask yourself, where are the masses? And I think at the moment, most of the masses right now are sidelined, at least from the polls that I've run on my Twitter. When I've asked people, look, do you think the bottom's in? No way. I mean, look, I've mostly been bearish since 47K, so maybe my followers are being heavily influenced, but I have looked at other polls as well, and it seems like it's at least 65 to 70% of people that do not believe that the bottom's in, which means they're looking lower, they're looking down, they're looking for much lower prices to get in, and therefore I won't call it a max pain scenario, but a painful scenario would be for this relief rally to run further than most of them expect. And right at the point when you start to clear those heavy resistance zones, which would be, as mentioned over here, that 29 to 30K area, once you start to clear that, that is where everybody gets mega bullish like that. We're buying the clearance of the resistance and then the retest of support, and then boom, send it back down again. That's kind of how you always have to think ahead. It's kind of like playing a game of chess when it comes to these markets, unregulated markets, if you will. It's crazy out there, and you really, really need to find a time frame that works for you. My time frame is the 4 hour. You can possibly go as low as the 1 hour, although there's a lot of false signals over there. You get chopped in and out. I find the 4 hour works best, and that gets me into swing trade positions over the course of a couple of days to weeks, to sometimes it even holds me in positions for months. And currently my systems have been showing to potentially go long since about 18,500, and I've been doing it very cautiously, and I continue to do so. But with this Heikin-Ashi candle, I just wanted to very quickly touch on it. The majority of them, when they've pointed 1 or 2 green candles in a row, pretty much we're going on a big run. Like you can just look at that for some perspective. Here's a couple where you got, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4 of them where it was where you got green candles and it continued on down. But then the rest of them, have a look at that. Most of them took you on major rallies. So I take the Heikin-Ashi candles quite seriously. Moving on. All right, we have again MACD gaining some momentum to the upside. Let's take a look at this on the other time frames over there. 4-day just crossed up. 5-day, which by the way is the time frame that I really, really like for long-term things. You can see that the cross is just taking place. Histogram has just turned green. Weekly should be following suit very soon. Let's have a look at that. So weekly starting to curl up. So for longer term or mid-term trades, which would be over the course of, let's say, the next 2 to 6 weeks, there are some positive signs over here. The question is what happens when we hit into this resistance area over here. But look, again, you don't want to start thinking about getting bullish when we hit 27, 28K. You wanted to do that right on the support line. Again, confluence with my trading system, which is the 4-hour chart, 18,950. We held that support. I labeled the final support because if we lost that, we're going straight down to 10 to 12K zone. 11,800 to be precise was the strong horizontal level that I was looking at over there. So bias remains slightly bullish for those of you that are wondering. Okay, I haven't brought up this chart for quite some time as well. I have the 12-hour chart with the super guppy indicator. A lot of you have asked me. I get a lot of messages on Twitter, so I'm just going to show you right over here. It's called CM Super Guppy. If you type that in, it's got, if you look at these moving averages, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, basically going up in threes all the way up to the 200 moving average. And this kind of works out the overall trend of the market. And you can see that we're starting to get a gray cross. Now, just want to zoom out to kind of show you a bit of perspective over here. Previously, we had this area highlighted. Let's make this bigger for you. All right, this is on Bitcoin price. Just to re-emphasize that. Previously, we had this clustered area coming in between 16,000 and 19,300 as a very, very important support area. And I'm pleased to see that price is reacting off of this area, because if it starts to get going from here and we do clear that 30,000 zone, then there really is a real possibility that the bottom is in. If you start to go like this and you can convincingly close many, many days in a row up here and hold this area as support, clear that next, whenever we do make the next higher high and you get back above that, I would say for sure the bottom's in. And unfortunately, this is what trading is that for those people that are out there and they say like they TA gurus and they can tell you when the exact bottom has happened without couple of weeks of price action after that, it's probably not true. You need confirmations in order to be sure that the bottom is in. And to be honest with you, we're only going to know probably later on this year. Certain levels need to be cleared. Is this a local bottom? Yes, definitely. This is definitely a local bottom. We've already shown that, but we could come lower later on in the year. So just be cognizant of that with any trades that you're making. Don't sell your house now and put it all into crypto just because I said it's a local bottom. It may not be the final bottom. So super guppy indicator, zooming out over here, you can see we've had one of the most prolonged red periods ever, slowly starting to turn gray, but we need to be very careful that something like this doesn't happen, that it turns gray, price recaptures, gets back above, turns green, everybody gets mega excited, and then absolutely just nukes through that area over there, and we go back down to the 10 to 12K area. And I'm going to show you in just a moment on the 4-hour chart how you can avoid that happening to you. So moving on, let's go on to the daily over here. Again, I'll put this on my Twitter. Let's just make this a bit smaller. Again, this is Bitcoin over here with the 34, the white 34 EMA, and we are holding above it. However, I mentioned that price coming into this zone over here, we're reaching towards that resistance, which I've just outlined to you on multiple different time frames, coming in between about 25,000 and 28,000, give or take. This, if you have been long and you're in a trade, very big difference between a trade and an investment. If you are in a trade and you're looking to capitalize on those profits since about the $18,000 region, this would be the place to do that, because more than likely we are going to start to reject. We're not going to smash through that like a hot knife through butter. I doubt it. Although anything is possible, I doubt it. I would say, because this is a game of probabilities, we always want to say, what's the probability? Probability is you hit resistance and you start to pull back from there. All that I'm saying is that you're taking profit here, re-add it back lower. The dash line on the 28th, you'll have to go back on the previous videos that I outlined. That's a major macro day that I'm watching with regards to FOMC and a couple of other things that are coming up, as well as for those of you who believe in the moons, you got the bear moon that's coming up right on that date as well. Coincidentally, it's the timing is exactly the same as the tech earnings as well as the FOMC. So I would expect some sort of a reaction off of that. The off chance that it's neutral, I still don't think that price just smashes through the resistance. So again, probability is that there will be some sort of a pullback. Now, that doesn't mean that it's mega bearish. It just means exactly that, small pullback by the next dip, and then off we go back up again, hopefully. Okay, this chart over here, I ran through a whole lot of altcoins the last time we were together on one of the main shows, and I outlined to you that there's a major underside resistance, which if you kind of parallel or mirror what Bitcoin is doing at that $29,000, $28,000, $29,000, $30,000 level, that cluster of resistance, a lot of the altcoins have already started to run into that. So I'm going to rush through these, and I just want you to kind of take a mental note or screenshot if any of these coins are yours, just so you can be cognizant that you are coming up towards resistance. So let's get straight into it. I'm not gonna like babble on about this one over here, but pretty much you can see where price is, you can see where resistance is. I'm leaving the chart big. Actually, let's move it on to a 3-day just to give you a better perspective and open up the chart a bit more. So Bitcoin, you can see it's got some space to go. Perspective, Ethereum coming straight into it. Matic almost hit it. Solana lagging, got some time, but still has this resistance over here at about $50. Rune almost going to come into that resistance. Uniswap got some space to go still. $14 is its major resistance. Atom, excuse the mess over there on Atom. I use this for one of the trades in the newsletter, but that same resistance in relation to Bitcoin is coming in at $14.56. Cardano got some space to run, coming in at $1.05 is that same resistance relating back to Bitcoin's $30,000 resistance. You can see AVAX also lagging. It's got a lot of room to run, $54. Chainlink coming in at $12.59. So as usual, Chainlink lagging. One of my favorite coins, highly frustrating. I had a mega bag over the last bull run, and I did like a 4x, and that was it. So I mean, you can't complain. 4x, right? It's still good compared to traditional markets. Okay, Polkadot also lagging, $15.91, has some leg room over there. Phantom, okay, I don't have Phantom drawn on here, but look, that same resistance would be coming all the way up at $1.11. Arweave coming in at $26.97, so it's probably done about half the move already. Gala, look, guys, I don't know, I wouldn't go long on this. It's coming in at 21 cents. It just looks terrible. This chart, the gaming sector has struggled. Render, $2.20, still has some leg room, but also doesn't look good. Okay, and that's it. That is it for those alts that I wanted to very quickly touch on. Going back to the Daily Candle newsletter, again, make sure that you join the newsletter. There is a lot of alpha there. We give you the exact levels, and I wanted to show you this one over here. So if you had to, for those of you that wonder, by the way, you can't see properly, you might be looking at this on your phone. It literally says over there for the chart of the screenshot, click here. If you click here, it will open up a high quality image over there. You can see that I said, here is your buy zone for Bitcoin over there. Anywhere within that zone, dash line, you start to near the danger zone. But if you start to close within this yellow box area, I'd pretty much cut my positions. That's what I said in the Daily Candle newsletter. If you look at that, there, hit your buy zone and you have your next higher low. Price is bouncing off there, and pretty much we have bullish continuation. Pretty much I'll be targeting towards these highs. As soon as you break that high, I'm thinking a little bit higher, but I'll cover those exact zones in this chart over here for you. So moving on to this chart, my primary chart, I see the next higher high that's going to set is probably going to be around 25,400, and then I would expect price to pull back from there. So something like this, push into that zone, set the next higher low. in kind of somewhere in line with this level over here at about $24,000. And then hopefully we can push through that level, and we just take it level to level. This is what I mentioned to you before. And I said, this is how you can stay out of trouble, is if you just track and use the 4-hour chart. Works fantastically well. Momentum oscillators are beginning to turn up. So there is still possibly some leg room over here. You have the golden cross, which has officially taken place now. We can say that that's happened with the 50 EMA above the 200 EMA. I love to see that for swing trades, longer term trades. I personally am now in my swing trading position. I'm officially fully invested. My whole portfolio is in. I've entered the whole market. I'll be tightening stop losses again as we near these levels over here. I might shave like 25% of that off in anticipation of buying the next higher low. So as mentioned, looking at something like this, up, shave 25% of the position, re-add here, boom. And that's how you just track it. Okay, guys, so you track the 4-hour chart. As soon as you take out the higher low from before. So let's say, for example, today price started to turn, or let's say over the weekend, just as an example, price started to turn, go down like this. Okay, cool. Now we know that something different is happening. Something's changing. I'm not saying that you just like immediately sell off all your positions, wait to see what happens. Maybe you bounce off of the range high, come back up, fail to clear over here, straight sell, I'm out. The trend is back to bearish. The overall trend, remember, on the daily time frame is bearish. And the way that you want to trade, if you want to last long in this game, typically you want to go long when you have your whatever time frame your edge is on. You need like a short, medium, and a long-term time frame. So for me, it's pretty much the 4-hour chart, the daily chart, and the weekly chart. So if the weekly and the daily chart are bullish and the 4 hours bullish, you go long. There should be no worry. You don't stress. Just go long. Enjoy the ride. However, I don't like to miss out on too much of the move. The 4-hour chart has already gone bullish, and therefore I'm already long. But I am cautiously optimistic is what I like to say. I'm very, very careful. I have a trailing stop loss, and I'm just raising it behind each of these higher lows, and I'm tracking the price momentum up each step of the way, because the daily hasn't flipped yet. Once the daily starts to flip bullish, so we start to clear above $30,000, set a new higher high, the following higher low, I'll be more chilled with my positions. I can't think of the right word over there, but more relaxed, that's the word. I'll be more relaxed with my positions, and that's when I'll be willing to start to take on leverage trades. So just keep that in mind with regards to your trading. Ethereum, as you know, has run quite a lot. Look, it's probably going to hit this 1700 area. I know a lot of people are going to short that. I know big name traders like Trader SZ and Trader XO. I think they're looking to short from this region. So just remember, there is going to be a lot of liquidity or supply in this area that people are going to sell into. But as long as you keep tracking those higher lows, trend is your friend till the end, remains bullish, continues to be bullish. Matic, same thing. Look, this thing's run quite a lot. I was looking to short it, by the way. I did short it last night. I'll go over that because I know a lot of people have asked. Solana, same thing over here. Bear in mind, it's going to hit that diagonal resistance that's been holding all the previous lower highs. Now, very quickly, guys, diagonals they're not the bread and butter. They're not the be-all and end-all. It's just a little bit of resistance. As you can see, it shouldn't be anything too major, but there are people that focus quite heavily on diagonals. So the only reason I mention it is because you can expect a little bit of a reaction off of that. But then the second time, you'll probably smash through it. Rune, this was one of the calls in the daily candle newsletter. I think it was even there yesterday. I mentioned, look, this area over here, 244 to 263 was your load up and buy zone. Perfectly came into that zone and off it went. It might pull back a little bit today. I'm kind of watching this area at about $2.83 on Rune. Uniswap. All right, Uniswap is doing something slightly different. It's kind of made lower lows on the 4 hour, and it looks like it's rolling over. So if I was in a long, as I mentioned here, stop loss, remember this position got entered, I think it was somewhere down here where this 550 is, tracking the momentum up, and we raised the stop loss. So you would have been stopped out of that position if you had been using my system. Which brings me to my next point. I actually have also recently just joined Coin Panel, should be active coming in from sometime next week on Monday. So over the course of this weekend, I'm going to be uploading a bunch of charts over there, and I'll drop a link and everything for those of you who would be looking to join that. Okay, moving on. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. I do post everything that I do on here. So here we had the Matic. Look, I tried to short Matic from here. Here's the picture. Put a hammer. Got that from Al Capo. I don't know, it works for him. So thought I'll give it a go with the hammer. Maybe it'll make the price go down. And essentially, this is what I was looking at. Let's go onto the low time frame. Okay, so low time frame. By now, you should be stopped out of this position. I moved my stop to break even. Look, I'm not able to always spoon feed people. So no offense to anybody out there. I kind of just give my trade setup ideas and stuff because this is not financial advice. I don't give, TPs and stop losses and all of that. Otherwise, I can be held liable for financial advice. And that's kind of the reason why I give my general idea of where the trade is. I try and make it as obvious as possible with a white line over there, but without saying that this is financial advice. I shorted from, it was that wick over here. Price came down. I TP'd some of the position over there, and I moved my stop loss along down this line over here, down the white line, the diagonal. So move my stop loss to, it was slightly below break even. And then while I was sleeping last night, price went through and I got stopped out. That was the end of the position. I was running that one on about 10x leverage. But remember, the leverage is not also the amount of leverage that you use. You meant to more look at that as controlling your risk and position sizing. So you can have, for example, $100 on an exchange running 10x leverage, knowing what you're risking, as opposed to putting on $1,000 onto the exchange and trading with 1 or 2x leverage. It's just a way of controlling your position size and how much you have on the exchange. It's not to leverage up and to turn your $1,000 into $10,000, for example. So, guys, I think that is pretty much brings us to the end. 2 more things. I'd greatly appreciate if you look in the link below. Make sure that you hit the bell notification. There we go. Hit the bell notification so that you receive a notification whenever I go live. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. The link is in there. There is a lot of copycat scam accounts, so be careful of those. I will never ever DM you guys or anything. If you do get contacted by a copycat account, make sure that you block them. Please report them and block them immediately, and don't ever give anyone any of your money. The only way that because I get a lot of messages of people wanting to send me gifts and stuff like that, and I always tell them, look guys, you don't need to do any of that. All that you have to do if you want to support me is use my referral link. It's no secret. Pretty much, instead of all the fees from your trading going 100% to the exchange, they give us a revenue split, and that would come to me. That's the only way. You don't have to tip me. You don't have to do any of that. Just use my ByBit or Bitget link. You don't need a VPN if you're a US citizen and you do want to use Bitget. And that brings us to the end of the show, guys. I really appreciate each and every single one of you. Thank you for joining. I will keep you all up to date on Twitter. Try and find those higher lows, guys. Try to find the higher lows. Buy the higher lows. Don't be scared. 4-hour chart is up. It's always like this when people are super afraid to go long. Price tends to rip. Sometimes the best trades that you'll ever make are the scariest trades that you have to take. So that brings us to the end. Have an absolute stellar weekend, and let's hope that when we come back on Monday, Bitcoin is at 27 to 28K. Cheers for now.